Hello, welcome back, everyone. As the title suggests, today I will be talking about the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games, it was heavily inspired by the story archetype of the Battle Royale. 100 enter, only one comes out alive. Sure, the numbers are interchangeable, it's not always 100, but many enter, few survive. That's the Battle Royale. My entire life, I've always felt like I'm on the brink of being eliminated. I've always felt like I'm on the bottom rung and I just need to be better than last place to make it to the next round. Okay, I survived that. Now I got to improve a little bit. Now I got to be better than last place again and again and again. Finally, I'm more developed as a man. I'm stronger. I'm more confident in my place. I no longer feel that way. Do not worry. So, battle royales, it's always the most vulnerable that get taken out first. The elderly, the children. Of course, it is the strength. It is people with strength. It is people with agility that survive. I know if I was put in a real life battle royale, a guy like me, I'm not the first one to get out, but I can't climb a tree. I'm not going to survive, okay? Like Katniss did. She had to climb trees to survive. I don't have that skill. But it's not a pity party. There's always room for improvement. Okay, so I'm gonna try to liken the Hunger Games to the current state of the US, not just current, but historical state. I don't want to be doomer. This will have a message of hope at the end, so bear with me here. All right. Who are the most vulnerable? Historically, let's look back at who were the most vulnerable people starting around the 2000s. So, around that time, it was known as the opioid epidemic in certain parts of the US. Which parts? It is the Rust Belt, places that used to be booming with industry, but as companies moved to foreign nations, their labor went with it. The jobs went with it, I should say. The laborers stayed, the jobs went away, people became poor. The Sackler family introduced opioids, introduced actually, yeah, OxyContin. That's one of the opioids, right? And it took out a lot of the vulnerable people who, if industry was there, they would probably succeed. But with no hope for jobs in the future, they succumbed to the numbing agent of opioids, and that took them out. So that's one way in which the vulnerable have been taken out, and they're no longer with us. This bottom layer of society just got wiped out to be replaced by a new bottom layer. So now, who are the most vulnerable? I would say it is people whose minds haven't adapted to the times. The times have definitely changed fast. Technology has accelerated at an alarming rate, and some people's brains, I'm sorry, they just can't keep up. Even I have trouble keeping up with it. I'm doing what I can now. Look at me starting social media at this age. I should have started this 10 years ago, but we're finally catching up, guys. All right. So, people whose minds cannot keep up with the times, they will find out they will find sources of coping, and unfortunately that is drugs. What has taken out the vulnerable layer today? I would say it is the fentanyl crisis, and it's taken out people that I know. So, looking into the future, who will be the most vulnerable? What is the looming threat today? We all know it is artificial intelligence. Who will be the vulnerable people to be taken out by artificial intelligence? It is people who work desk jobs, people who do monotonous duties behind desk, write emails, fill out forms, enter data. They are at risk of being wiped out by AI. Just like all the weaker people are at risk of being wiped out in a battle royale in the Hunger Games. They're at risk of being wiped out by people stronger, people who can climb trees, people who can hide, who can set traps. If you can't keep up with today's technology, unfortunately, you're going to get wiped out. I don't want it to be that way. I do have skills that can, for now, cannot be replaced by AI. So for now, I'm safe. But as it advances, will I be? Who knows? We've got to always keep adapting. Okay. So in the Hunger Games, Katniss and Peeta, the two from District 12, they were able to get out of there alive. Both of them. They changed the rules for them. You know why? Because the people who set up this Hunger Games, this whole show, this bread and circus, they wanted views. They wanted people to stay plugged in and watch the Hunger Games. And PETA and Katniss, they offered something that was never seen before, a love arc, a love story in this dystopian world. Love emerged, and they wanted everyone to see it. So that's why those two people were allowed to survive. That's why the rules changed for them. How do we apply this to now? You have to provide value in whatever system you want to rise in. You have to provide so much value that the rules change for you. I know it sounds silly, but rules aren't always set in stone. Let's look back at the past. The Wright brothers in Ohio, they had a dream that man would fly, and maybe they didn't set out to become rich. However, they did set out with the dream that man would fly, and they made it come true. And look at it now. We have a whole industry on flight where before the rule was who flies, it's birds. That's pretty much who were the only people that could fly, not people. The only beings that could fly were birds and insects and bugs and butterflies. So they changed the rules for all of mankind. Now we all benefit. Let's look at another historical figure, which is Henry Ford. I don't know if he invented the automobile, but he definitely popularized it. So back in the day, it was you got to have a horse to get around, but he changed the rules. Now you got to have a car to get around now. What will it be in the future? Who knows? But regardless, you got to provide value and the rules will change for you. And I'm not saying do everything for money. Let's look back at the inventors of the airplane, the inventors of the automobile. They did it from a source of spirit. Maybe Henry Ford did it to get rich, but definitely not the Wright brothers. They did it because they had a vision. It was in their spirit. It expanded the human spirit. So that's what I have to say. If you want to survive in this modern world, you got to look within into your spirit and you got to bring out value. You got to use your imagination to change the situation, as Nas said. Okay. I don't want to go on rambling, so I'll end it here. If you want to survive, you got to provide value, and the rules will change. Do your job conscientiously, do your job with your full spirit, and you will succeed. Okay, so this is supposed to be a review. What was Hunger Games review? 10 out of 10. Hunger Games, that is the book that got me into reading. If you know anything about me, I love to read, and it all started with the Hunger Games. And it just happened to have an allegory that I can share with you, or it happened to have some themes that are relevant to today. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. Thank you for watching. One take.